Well, as I said at the top, this program will cover the stories that matter to you and the people who are destined to change our world, both locally and internationally. The person I predict to really shake up our institutions and the future of farming communities as well in 2020 is Pauline Hanson. The One Nation Senator has had plenty to say in recent days about coronavirus and her objection to Queensland being awarded the 2013 Olympic Games. But even bigger issues will confront us and the Parliament this year, issues such as major changes to the family court, price reform in the dairy industry and giving Indigenous Australians a voice in the Constitution. Now, the Senator is driving some of those campaigns single-handedly and is intent on not being smothered by the major parties. In other words, they'd better be prepared to back off. Pauline Hanson, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Chris.
It's
yes.
good.
It is going to be a big year. Yeah, thank you very much for having me on. Yeah,
I'd like to start. Well, I'd like to suggest to you that this year, more than any other year, you have set the groundwork in the previous year to get on with some real changes to the way we live. And I'm talking about the topics I just mentioned. In no other year have I seen you lay the groundwork for this in the previous year, but you've done it this time.
I have, and actually the groundwork for me, and it was my election promise to the people of Australia to get a family law inquiry. I would like a Royal Commission because I think it's big enough for that. But the Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, after the last election came to me and said, OK, you've got it. And I wrote up the terms of reference to it, worked with the government on it, and hence we've got the inquiry going at the moment with joint with the lower house and the Senate. We've got the first hearing in Canberra on the 14th of February, which is Friday week. And after that it goes public. And the first one out there in the public, well, the public can come to the 14th of February at Canberra, but after that we're first one kicking off in Townsville on the 10th of March.
OK, on the family court, it's mired in dysfunction, as you rightly know. What will you present to the inquiry?
I want this to be the People's Voice inquiry. We've had previous inquiries with regard to the family law reform. We've had the Australian law reform, their recommendations, which the government has not taken up, and I don't believe in all their recommendations either. We've heard from interest groups, everyone else, but we've never really heard from the people themselves. We have a failed system, and it goes right back to even the court system about solicitors, overcharging, child support. We've got talking about perjury, we're talking about reporters, you name it. Even the DVOs that it's used in cases. It's wide open for people to actually have their comments and have their say about this. The whole system, and I've heard from people from the very top, and I won't mention any names, but even judges and former judges and different ones are saying the system is broken. Everyone knows it needs to be changed. The first day after I met with Prime Minister at that time, Malcolm Turnbull, and I asked him and I said, we need inquiry in family law. He said, oh, that's a big issue. And then I spoke to George Brand. I said, oh, well, you know, that's really tough. That's a tough one. Everyone has backed away from it, and I kept pushing and pushing, pushing. Now I have got the members of Parliament on board with me who are starting to open up their eyes and their ears and working with me, and I think we've got a good team there to listen to the people. Hopefully our recommendations won't fall on deaf ears with the government when we finally get through this and listen to the people.
Let's crunch down a little closer to some of the issues. I want to crunch down on two in particular. If you are unhappy with what the family court has decided or ordered against you in particular, and you wanted to challenge that, it becomes almost an impossibility on a financial basis, does it not?
Correct. People can't afford it because it costs them an absolute fortune to take through the court system in the first place. You have legal aid can be available to either one facing the court system, because one's got it doesn't mean the other one has it. But our legal aid system is failing us, and the Legal Association, they've said we need an injection of about $200 million into providing legal aid, because it used to be $11 per person, now it's down to about $7, just under $8 per person. So they've allowed it to slide. no one can get justice, especially in the family law court system or any system of courts, if you don't have the legal expertise or know the matters of law to present your case. So a lot of people represent themselves and fail, and that's why they don't get the outcomes, you know, they're hoping for. It's, Chris, it is so convoluted, it is so involved, but I'm hoping, and I've got my own opinions about it. Child support is another one that needs to be actually overhauled. I'm actually talking to the Minister with regards to that. They know changes need to be made about it, but they don't know where to start. I'm actually making suggestions to them. We'll have a further look into that, and I want to hear from the people.
Okay, the other point I wanted to make was, don't we need, and I'm hearing this from the practitioners, that we need more conciliation seminars held between the warring parents to stop the process of sitting in a courtroom and waiting for 3 years for something to be decided. Surely we can have an affordable, effective process where both sides get in a room, they're forced to be there, and the issues are bashed out.
Absolutely correct. Most of the cases are actually settled outside of court. You've only got a small percentage, about 5 or 10% end up in the court system, yet we have a backlog of 20% of cases. Some cases, decisions are not handed down by the judges for up to even 4 years. The fact is that the judges should be handing down the decisions. Once the case is heard, they should be handing down their decision within a month, not months or years afterwards, because they've got other cases. The problem is that the judges are overloaded with cases. A judge could hear anything up to 60 to 80 cases a day. Judges are not purely for family law matters. A lot of these judges, especially in the Federal Circuit Court, are hearing family law matters plus civil matters.
Exactly.
Now, a lot of these judges, which we've heard, are not up to speed and don't understand family law, haven't dealt in it. They shouldn't be hearing these cases, especially the very involved cases. So, and what we've got to consider also, Chris, is that the rights of the child. The rights of the child is not being considered here because the rights of a child are not heard. Do you know that a child, even 8 or up 15 years of age, they cannot put in an affidavit to say how they feel about the matter, who they go with, whether mum or dad. I think that's wrong. A child should be listened to. There's so many, look, I can go on and on about this, but I hope that we can open up. I promise this to the people of Australia. The people who have actually thanked me for actually following this through. Let's see what happens at the end of it, but I can give a promise to the people of Australia. I will do my utmost to let your voices be heard. That is a system that is broken, needs to be amended, and we will do our best to try and give justice back to the people of Australia. And whether you are a father or mother, everyone has a right to see those children, and the child, most importantly, the child has a right to see both parents.
I'm also expecting you to ride really hard on the horse of a minimum price for the dairy farmers. I'm also hoping that you'll ride really hard on Indigenous voices. But I heard Ken White, the Minister, today talk about setting up a new ATSIC to start working out Aboriginal affairs. We can't go back to those bad old days, can we?
We are not. I said it in my maiden speech in 1996 that ATSIC needs to go. It was costing the taxpayers at that time $2.2 billion. It was a failed feathering their own nest organisation. We can't go back to that because of a lot of nepotism and they had their own agenda. We can't go back to that. We have so many committees and organisations set up on the Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander, all these funded by the taxpayer to the cost of tune about $33 billion a year. I went up to Doomadgee, Chris, just a couple of weeks ago. First time I've been there. Do you know, you've got kids walking the streets early hours in the morning, congregating at the school because they don't want to go home. Alcohol is the biggest problem. You've got kids that are starving, picked up by the school who actually has to feed them. They've got about a $2 million kitchen there because they can prepare the food for this beautiful school. Absolutely fantastic, but you've got less than half the kids that turn up to school.
It's ridiculous, it's ridiculous.
You've got the whites in the community, the council, everyone. The Aboriginal community, I'm telling Aboriginals here, get your act together, look after your kids, face your responsibilities. You bring these kids into the world. They are walking the streets, they are not being cared for. We have sexual abuse of the children. They have a huge you know, syphilis in the community up there, and no one's doing anything about
Exactly.
it.
We need to tell the true story. We need to tell the true story, and I'm glad you've told the true story here, and it's worth.
I will be, Chris, and I will say it on the panel. Do you know that Linda Burney has said I shouldn't be on it because of my attitude? No, Linda Burney, you shouldn't be on it because you want to shut everything down. You know what? Let's expose what is happening out there and speak the truth. If you want the truth in this country, then let's speak the truth and find the answers, because I feel sorry for those future generations, the kids out there that are not being listened to.
I love a fired up Pauline Hanson. Thank you very much for your time tonight. All the best for 2020.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay, good to have you on the program.